Hey guys, this is Tyler with nubgrammer. So this is going to be a continuation of the Programming 101 series. We're going to be talking about data types. Now, data type is exactly what it sounds like. It is a type of data. So if you remember back in the first video, we talked about variables. A, if you remember, a variable is just a container that holds data. So the data type is just a way for us to tell the computer what type of data the variable is holding. And let me demonstrate that a little bit better here. Let's go through this little mini exercise. Let's try to add the number 20 to the sentence. This doesn't make sense, am I right? So how would you do that? How would you add the number 20 to a sentence? Well, you can't really do that because typically you add a number to another number. So that's why we need data types. So this is a little bit closer to a real code example. So using the same example as we did before, computer, what are the sum of the contents of the blue box and the red box? If you look at the blue box, red box, and green box, you can see that I've added the data type keywords. So we have an int that says that the red box contains an int. We have string that says that the blue box contains a string or some text in this case. Then we have the green box, which is an integer that contains, an integer. So the computer is going to go to blue box, pull out this value, some text, go to the red box and pull out the 20. And when it tries to add them together, it gives us an error. And again, this is because we're trying to add an integer to a string. So there are a ton of data types that you can choose from. You can even make your own data types. And I'm using C# as my basis here as far as the syntax goes. In most of the languages that I've seen, they follow very similar structures to this as far as the bool, char, string, int, and double. So you may have to do a little research on that. You might come across a few differences, but generally it's not going to be a big deal. So again, the 5 that I want you to focus on for now are bool or boolean, char or character, string, which is string, an int, which is an integer, and then double, which is double. So a boolean it means that the variable is either true or false. And an easy way to think of this is whether it's night or day outside. It's one or the other. It can't be both, unless you include the edge case where it's dawn or dusk, but let's pretend those don't exist. So character or char is just a single text character. A string is just a string of text, like a sentence or just a whole bunch of characters put together. They don't have to make sense to humans, but the computer is going to see it as just a string. And then int is just an integer, basically a whole number. And then double is a little more complicated, but essentially it's just a number, but it allows you to use decimal places, so it doesn't have to be a whole number. And finally, we're going to get to a real code example. So as you can see, I've declared all of the variables, given them all data types. And on this int sum, as you can see, I've tried to add blue box and red box, but this particular editor told me that, hey, this isn't going to work because it can see that we're trying to add an int to a string. Okay. After everything I've said, there is one caveat. Now, at least in C#, and there are a few other languages that support this, you can use the var keyword instead of actually declaring a data type. Usually it's for lazy coding, and there are some exceptions. I mean, JavaScript, for instance, is much more forgiving and doesn't put as much emphasis on data types. But C#, there are a lot of benefits to using the data types, and especially In this case, it's usually not the best practice to use the var keyword. All right, that's it for this one. So up next, we're going to talk about simple operators.